I think what Scott's going to say is that the next presentation is going to be from Dana, Vinay, and Kayla, and they're going to talk about young learners in the Episcopal Children's Services.
Thank you, Swat. Thank you, Raj. Hello, everyone. Let's take a moment to rewind back to our childhoods. Do you remember the name of your first teacher? Do you remember how it felt playing on the playground? Some children may have had different experiences than you. Some children are born into a risky environment where healthy development is not guaranteed. Many children in our communities could use assistance with growing and learning on their way to a healthy future. Next slide. Why do you think this child is sitting all alone on the playground? It's possible they are having trouble making friends, or they've gotten in trouble for being disobedient, or maybe they just lack the energy to play. These are just speculations, but they're all possible situations for children starting school at a disadvantage. Next slide. The National Early Head Start program is designed to address these critical early childhood disparities that can result in lifelong consequences. One program locally that addresses these childhood disparities is Episcopal Children's Services. Their Early Head Start initiative includes working alongside pregnant women and children under the age of 3 whose environment puts the child's healthy development at risk. They do this with center-based and home-based services with the children's health and the parents' needs in mind. Next slide. ECS came to us with a wicked problem. Children within our local community have a variety of early developmental needs, where ECS has the ability to work alongside these children to give them a chance for healthy development. But with the 174 neighborhoods to canvass, they needed help managing large amounts of data about these children and families, and in narrowing down locations of children and their families that could benefit from their services. Next slide. Together, we came up with a solution to create a geographical information system. We started right away with data collection, looking for publicly available data that matched the variables identified by the ECS screening tool, as well as literature written by the experts. We ended up collecting 18 publicly available data sets with hundreds and hundreds of variables. From there, we cleaned the data by narrowing down the data sets to just 18 variables. We then normalized the values so that we were comparing apples to apples instead of apples to oranges and any other fruit that was in the basket. Once normalized, we ran some analyses, which I will discuss in a few more slides, and we merged the data into a Tableau to build a dashboard, which you will also get to see later in the presentation. Next slide. Here are the 18 data sets we collected from census.gov, floridahealth.com, and usda.gov. Some variables are doubled up on the slide to save space. We have income-based variables. We made sure to include low income because they do not get as many benefits offered to them as do people in poverty, but they still struggle to survive on what little money they have. So it was very important to keep them included. We have home-based variables, including food desert, which is low-income families that live 0.5 miles from a large grocery store in an urban area or 10 miles from a large grocery store in a rural area. For minority-based variables, we included race for demographic analysis purposes only. And finally, family-based, like population 0 to 5, which is a combination of pregnant women and children 5 years and under. It includes 4 and 5-year-olds because that is the census.gov data's way of collecting. And all we can do is work with the data that we have access to. Next slide. Next, we chose to run factor analyses. Since we were still working with a lot of variables and wanted to evaluate the relative importance of those variables. Knowing that neighborhoods are different from each other, we used factor analysis to tell us in what ways they are different and on what dimension. With differences in mind, we ran an orthogonal rotation or independent rotation. However, seeing some similarities in our results, we ran the analysis again, but with an oblique rotation or a relational rotation. From that analysis, we identified two primary dimensions or factors. We then labeled the factors based on the variables that were associated with that factor. As you can see, there are three variables included in both factors: low birth weight, education level, and uninsured. But depending on the factor, they have different relative weights associated to them. We then rescaled the weighted average of the variables based on the importance weights from the factor analysis. Some variables, like in the foreign-born and disadvantaged index, contributed 100% to the factor, whereas in the income-constrained factor, relative weights for low birth weight and education level were relatively half compared to the other variables, and uninsured was weighted even lower. We also created an index from the ECS's screening tool that included all the weights allocated by the professionals for the 18 variables. Next slide. I now hand it over to Vinay and Kayla so that they can show you the indices and variables we created on the Geographic Information Systems dashboard.
Hello everyone. Now that we have identified the factors, let's start by operationalizing the information. With ECS screening process, now I would like to identify the neighborhoods that would most benefit from these early childhood services. Well, seeing the information associated with each neighborhood, then identifying the individual will be a very difficult task. To address this, we collaborated with ECS and built this dashboard. Now we will see how the ECS professionals can use this system to efficiently find the most in-need children in the Duval County. The select indicator filter enables to select any of the 18 indicators or the 3 indices present at the bottom. As discussed earlier by Dana in factor analysis, now we will use the ECS screening index to find the most risk children in the Duval County. As we select this, we can see the shading of the map changes. Here the shading represents where the most risk families or the neighborhoods are present. With dark color neighborhoods such as 122 present between the Normandy and the Blanding Boulevard on the west side of the Jacksonville, and neighborhood 144.01 present in the south side Arlington or Windy Hilly area, are the higher risk neighborhood with high ECS screening value, while the lighter blue neighborhood represents the lower risk ones. So this will help the ECS professionals to get a quick overview of the risky neighborhoods. Another feature we have provided is this slider. This slider enables to show numerous areas such as looking specifically at 78th percentile, thereby narrowing the search to few neighborhoods without overwhelming prospects. At the bottom left, we can see the top 8 neighborhoods. These top 8 are the neighborhoods that has most risk families for the selected indicator. This enables the ECS professionals to narrow down their search to few neighborhoods. So to better understand these top neighborhoods, the ECS professionals can use the key indicator comparison chart present at the bottom left. So this key indicator comparison chart compares the neighborhood based on the key indicators: education level, low birth weight, population between 0 to 5, poverty level, and unemployment that highly affects the children development. So now when we click and select these top census tract, the key indicator comparison will display the percentile values of ECS screening index. So here we can see that the neighborhood present between the Normandy and the Blanding Boulevard has relatively high ECS screening values for most of the key indicators, while the neighborhood located in the south side Arlington has relatively low percentile values for the education level and also for the population between 0 to 5. So to conclude, the neighborhood present between the Normandy and Blanding Boulevard is definitely a good area for the ECS to target. So in this similar way, the ECS can use the other indicators and the indices to find the most risk neighborhoods. So once they have identified this neighborhood, the next step is to find the nearest locations. So here labeled on the map, we have 9 geographic locations that symbolize the ECS and their affiliated centers. So now Kayla will demonstrate how the ECS professionals can use this feature to connect neighborhoods to the ECS resources efficiently.
Thank you, Vinay. Now that we've mapped out the county, let's get down to the neighborhoods. To start, we've also created a street view map that will show ECS the areas to canvass. Although we are not able to get down to the exact household, ECS can now get down to the areas and neighborhoods that most fit the selection criteria, thereby helping to find the kids that will most benefit from their programs faster. ECS employs direct action during recruitment, including canvassing, billboards, and word of mouth that would benefit from the street view. We'll start with the previously mentioned Tract 122. For any locals of this area, this is best recognized as between Blanding Boulevard and Normandy in West Duval. This is a highly residential area that has a high number of our features. And as we can see, there are many neighborhoods, condos, and apartments in this area that might be of great interest to our campusers. Here we might start our search with low-income housing at Biltmore. While some families may prefer the center, this is a good example to showcase that ECS is also able to offer home-based services. With this map, relative distances, and the inspiring number of homes these ECS teachers drive to, we are able to provide the most efficient use of time. So with this tool, canvassers are able to offer both the ECS affiliate Lane Avenue CDC Center, approximately 1 mile away, as well as home-based services to encourage early childhood education. Now that we are able to not only find possible children in need, but actively recruit in high-need areas, this will expedite the process of screening and streamline early education. All of these factors will greatly increase the rate of recruitment, providing proper care and services to children in Duval County. Continuing the thought of looking forward, I'll hand things back to Dana.
Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Vinay. I am so proud to be part of an initiative that gives children opportunities for early education and healthy development. And now ECS professionals can use the dashboard and indices to help identify even more neighborhoods with children who could benefit from their services. I hope this shows that if we all work together, all children could grow up in a healthy environment, and that kid sitting on the bench alone is there by choice, not because of his situation. Thank you for joining us and interacting with our presentation about the hope for children and their success in school. I will now hand it back over to Dr. Omopathy to sew up this presentation.
Thank you.